Comes on, everyone. Sure, let's start off. So this was the last thing we did, combination of mirrors and this thing. Hope everyone has given the test. I'll be posting the results tonight or tomorrow morning, and tomorrow evening the new test will be online. How was that test? Easy, moderate, tough, very easy. Very easy. Hi Aisha, how was the exam? Dead easy. ठीक है. Sure. Arjun, how did you find the test?
It was okay, decent. So actually, I had done few of the questions before in Cengate. So like those questions I was able to do, but the rest were
होता है चलेगा ठीक है. चल, so this was the last thing we did. Okay. Let's start off with one thing. We're going to finish off lenses and we'll start prisms today. So this radius is R1, R2, R2, R1. This is mu1, this is mu2, and this is mu3. Okay. R1 is 10 centimeters, R2 is 20 centimeters, mu1 is 2, mu3 is 3 by 2. Question is, find mu2 if the power is 0. Let's get this. Udian, come on. Who is missing? People are missing.
the power of the entire apparatus is zero, right?
Yeah, power of the full system.
Oh.
Get it. Simple calculation. There's nothing there in this question. Just brute force. Put in the formula and done. Answers. Get it, get it. Give you a minute more. Four. Okay, we have one answer. Thirteen by two. Let's see. First one, focal length 1 by f1, 2 minus 1, 1 by 10. So that is 3 by 20. That is 20 by 3 centimeters. So 3 by that is 300 by 20. That is 15 diopters. With a minus sign. 1 by f2 would be mu2. Actually, I can do directly this thing, no? 1 by f1 plus 1 by f2 plus 1 by this thing. If the power of the system is 0, this would be R2 to 1 by 10. 3 by 2 minus 1 is half. Minus 3 by 20. Power of the system will be 1 by f of the system is 0. So 1 by f1 plus 1 by f2 plus 1 by f3 is 0. Minus 3 by 20 plus mu2 minus 1 by 10 minus 3 by 40 is 0. mu2 minus 1, 9 by 4, mu2 would be 13 by 4. Check, did I goof up? 399 by 40, 10 gets cancelled, then n by 4 looks right. Explain f2. 1 by r2, na? So that will be 1 by 20 minus 1 by minus 20, isn't it? So directly wrote it as 1 by 10. 1 by r1 minus 1 by r2. r1 is 20 and r2 is minus 20. Please check, I skipped steps. I could be wrong. Anyone else got the same? Clear? 13 by 4. Easy? Yeah. Next one. Next one is a good one. Turn in the page. So we got a lens here. This should be a good one. It's a tricky one, but not difficult to solve. Mu, we have a light ray, a parallel light ray comes into this lens, and there's a TIR. It bounces, 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 and goes out. So there is a total internal reflection. In case 2, same lens, R1, R2. This time the light ray bounces, and comes out from this side. Find the power of the system. A parallel ray bounces inside a lens. Due to TIR. So the surface acts like a mirror. So TIR is as good as a mirror. Find power of the system. A better thing would be find power and focal length of the system. Let's get this. Last page here. Let's try this. How will you handle this? How do we do this? How do you think we should proceed? I'll show you the first one. Second one, you try. Listen to this thing. So this whole system, right, can be treated as one lens. Now, what is a lens? Think about it. Whenever a light ray goes through a lens, there is a refraction. So basically, two refractions makes one lens. This is your second refraction. Now, whether that refraction happens before or later, it really doesn't matter because it's a thin lens. So we have one lens plus. So how many reflections are there? 1, 2, 3, 4. These are reflections. So this system behaves like as if there are 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 mirrors. So we have a lens of mu and R1, R2, mirror R2, mirror R1, mirror R2, mirror R1. So in this scenario, power of the system will be equal to power of the lens plus 2 times power of mirror 1 plus power of the mirror 2. And this whole system behaves like what? Last time we discussed, how do you decide whether a system is behaving like a lens or a mirror? This whole system behaves like what? Anyone?
Lens.
This whole system behaves like a lens. What is the thing last time we discussed? If a light ray continues to go in the same direction, it's a lens. If it comes back, then it is this thing. So this whole system is given by 1 by f lens. So this whole system combination behaves like a lens. We can do the working there. Please check this logic once. Because the light ray doesn't care whether the refraction happens initially and ending. It just thinks there are 2 refractions. मतलब एक lens था. Entering and leaving is a lens, and there are 4 reflections. The order doesn't matter. You can keep the lens anywhere. You can keep the mirror anywhere. Because end of the day, you're adding them. Why does it matter like whether it comes front or back? Hope this logic was clear. Clear? So using this logic, now you try the second one. Can I turn the page? Turning back the page to the question. Now, how do you do for this guy? Now you try. I'll give you a minute. There is a trap. Let's see whether you will get that or not.
Sir, could you please go to the next page for a second? Thank you, sir.
How do we do this? Okay. So what happens, Anika? You said something, Anika, decently. Aryan, you said something obvious, so it is really not that obvious. Aryan, Nare, why will you get 2 times lens? There's still single lens only. A lens is 2 refractions. There are still 2 refractions only. So light ray enters, refracts, reflects, goes off. So this is made of 1 lens plus 3 mirrors. Now, the catch is this. The lens is made of which radius? It is entering from which side? R1. Leaving from which side? R1. Look at the previous question. Here the lens is entering from which side? R1. Left from which side? R2. So it's a lens of R1 and R2 now. But look at this case. The light ray is entering from which side? Refracting from which side? R1. Leaving from which side? R1. So what kind of lens is this? This is the lens made of both sides R1, R1, isn't it? It is not R1 and R2 ka lens. Is that making sense? Since ray enters and leaves from R1 side, the lens should have both the radiuses are R1.
Sir, it is a mirror then, right?
Where
The whole system.
okay, so fine, no, that is okay. But what kind of lens is this? It's a combination of lens plus mirror, no, Udayan?
Yeah.
So lens has both the radiuses R1. It's not R1 and R2 like the previous one. So this is R2, this is R1, and this is R2. So the power of the combination, like what Udayan is saying, this whole thing behaves like a mirror. This whole combination is a mirror, which is power of the lens. But remember, this lens and this lens are not same. I hope you're getting that point. Got the logic? It is not the same lens. It's not R1, R2 ka lens. That is a mistake. If you take R1, R2 ka lens, you'll get a wrong answer. Plus 2 times the power of P2 mirror. But there is only one M1 mirror. And this will be equal to minus 1 by Fm. Be careful. Power of a mirror is minus and will come. That's it. That's what you have to be careful with. Check it out. I hope clear with the logic there. Keep your cams on, everyone. Clear? Turn in the page. Next one. That's it. That was a trap. If you take this as R2, the whole thing goes for a toss. Next thing. What if the lenses are separated by a distance? Now this, we just have a result. Not get into the working of this. Equivalent focal length. For lenses separated by distance. You have a lens, you have a lens. This thing, right? Mostly you have seen these kind of questions, in bits and other exams, not in mains also. In that, they simply ask you find the focal length. But if at all they ask you any problem on this in advance, right, you can just solve them like 2 problems. Don't worry about equivalent focal length and all that stuff, because this thing has a lot of restrictions. So what happens is if you send a parallel light ray, it was supposed to go this way, it would bend. Something of this sort. So the formula is 1 by F equivalent is 1 by F1 plus 1 by F2 minus D by F1, F2, where D is the distance between them. And you can assume this lens is placed here. So this whatever equivalent is there, that is placed at this distance. At a distance of D by F1 into F equivalent. So this whole question seems as if a light ray has come like this. And it has gone like this. So this thing is F equivalent lens. The formula is more important. If they frame any question on this in advance, you can actually directly take for each lens and solve it regularly. This thing is only valid for rays are coming in infinity, parallel rays. and common principal axis. So if D is 0, you get your regular formula. So if it is only valid for parallel rays, there is no point only, then it's of no use for us. If they give you object is here, then just calculate normal image and this guy image. So that's what we can do. 2 times you can use lens maker formula. Clear? Check it out. Mehan, clear? Next thing. Cutting off lenses. What happens if you cut a lens? So let's say you take a lens like this and you cut it like this. What do you think will happen? Again, assuming both the sides is radius r and r, focal length is f. So you get 2 pieces. Each one focal length will become 2f and 2f. The formula, no, mu minus 1 is equal to 1 by r1 minus 1 by r2. One term becomes 0. Basically, this becomes r, and this r will tend to infinity. Straight line is an infinity. If you take a lens and if you cut it horizontally, nothing happens. You still get the same focal length. But remember, only the intensity of the image will change if you throw away one of them. Suppose you take a lens and you cut it vertically and you cut it horizontally and you get 4 pieces. And if you keep all of them side by side with the same common principal axis. So each guy will become 2f, 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 2f. So here f equivalent will be 1 by 2f, 1 by 2f, 1 by 2f 4 times. So this will become f by 2. Suppose same thing, you take this lens, you cut it horizontally, but this time keep one like this and keep one like this. Principal axis is different. So here we can't use the formula 1 by f equivalent is not valid 1 by f1, f2 because there should be a common principal axis. All these equivalent things we did only when you have same principal axis. The moment the principal axis changes, everything is gone. But this would be a pretty good answer here. Huh? This thing ka answer is power is 0. If you make it like this, I'll show you why. You get a 0 power. Reason, if you send light rays from here, the light rays from the top, they actually bend down. The light rays which go below this thing, they come up. So if you actually make a lens like this, and you send a light ray, the light ray which is going up comes down, and this light ray goes up, and you come out a parallel ray. If the light ray is coming out parallelly, then it is a parallel light ray comes out parallel, and there's no deviation, but then the power is 0. I didn't draw it properly, but so ray enters parallelly and comes out parallelly. That's why power is 0. This D option will be a good question in the exam. Good theoretical question. This Saturday ka paper will be theoretical. Huh? More theoretical questions are there. What will happen to the image after cutting? In case 2 we separate lenses by some, then it just becomes like this question. If you separate and do all that stuff, you get this behave like 2 different lenses. If you separate them, principal axis will change. Remember, हमने एक question किया था. You get 2 images separated. Right, Aditya? That's what you're asking, right? Aditya?
No, sir, along the same principal axis and separated by some
Separated.
distance.
Then ऐसा हो जाएगा ना. A part of a lens is as good as a full lens, right? Why does it matter? Isn't it?
You're right.
हमने remember वो भी question किया था हमने. The lens had 2 different mediums. It didn't matter. Yeah. A part of a lens will behave like a full lens. ठीक है? Check it out. Cutting of lens. Next one. Number of images in a lens. This question I used to. Venkatesh, you need to keep your cam on. Do sort out your Netka connection.
Yes, sir. Done.
This question I used to ask for fun. 3 years back, I guess it came in advance. Even I was shocked. Number of images in a lens. It was a matrix matching. Advanced, I guess. Huh? So we have a lens here. Let's say mu1 and mu2. There are 2 different mediums. How many images form? Suppose if you have a lens like this, but this time left side is mu1 and right side is mu2. This time there are 4 mediums: mu1, mu2, mu3, and mu4. Let me make it a little thick. Object is here. Suppose if you have a lens like this, a lens like this, mu1, mu2, mu3, mu4. How many images are there? Try for a minute. We can treat this as a question theory, it doesn't matter. Previous page here. Okay, go ahead. Think for a minute. Have a look at this. This is what I was saying. No matter how tough the advanced paper is, you'll always find at least 30-35% of the questions right are easy and manageable. अगर वो 30-35% कर लिया and उसके ऊपर right remaining time if you can put fight to get another 25-30%, as long as you maintain a score of 45-50% plus for a moderate to tough paper, you will put a rank of at least 1500-2000. That's what we are looking at. 60% score in advance will give you a good decent rank. हाँ, इसको ऊपर आ गया तो अच्छा है. But let's start with that. And your main advanced preparation, actually, frankly speaking, starts once the portion gets over. Normally, what we do for your seniors also, अभी वही कर रहा हूँ. मतलब with all your seniors, that's the whole thing. In the first JEE mains attempt, you need to put a 99 percentile. And don't think like, oh, 99 percentile. 99 percentile is 10,000 rank. And to get 99, because 1 percentile is 10,000 people. 99 percent के लिए कितना score करना था? I think last year it is 165, 170 roughly पकड़ो, 170 out of 300 mains में. Once we get 99 percentile, we can just ignore mains completely. Full Feb, March, April, May, 4 months solid advanced preparation होता है. do take, start taking things seriously. Re. Your seniors are like, putting a fight like 10, 11 hours per day. And literally, I'm telling you, people who chilled out in 11th and who started actually seriously studying from last 4 or 5 months, they're struggling a lot. Yesterday, we had a speed test, 90 questions, 1 hour. Highest was 88 questions attempted and 7 wrong. 81 right. Most people did 60 questions. They could handle it. Slightly easier than mains, but fir bhi. Look at the first one. Lighter goes here, comes here. Light ray goes here, comes here. So 2 images. What about this guy? Even though there are 2 here, if you see the light ray is going through mu1, mu2, the light ray is going from mu1, mu2 only. The light ray is still going through the same medium, so 1 image only. The light ray should have gone through different mediums. Then it would refract in a different way. But if you're going mu1, mu2, mu1, mu2, they will do the same thing up and below. Here, mu1, mu2. Here, mu3, mu4. 2 images only. There are actually only 2 different possibilities. Even though there are 4 different mediums. Here, only mu2, mu1, mu2, mu3, mu4, only mu4. Here 4 images. Hope you get in the difference. You should take all possibilities. You have to send the light ray through different possible mediums. Now, some of you might think like this, sir, why can't this happen? A light ray will go like this and come like this. This will never happen. Can someone tell me why? Think about it. A light ray which is going through the principal axis will go straight, right? Means all light rays above the principal axis will stay above only. If this light ray actually goes like this and comes like this, won't the image form here inside? You're getting it? All light rays above the principal axis will stay above. All light rays below the principal axis will stay below. The light ray from the above principal axis will not come down through the lens. It doesn't happen that way. This goes undeviated. You can't have a light ray going like this, coming like this. This is not possible. So all rays above principal axis remain above principal axis. Clear? Check out the
Sir,
answer.
is there any condition wherein the C case both the images will coincide?
हाँ हो सकता है. There is a chance.
But
मतलब
at what
mu1 mu2
condition?
का दोनों का फोकल लेंथ सेम होना चाहिए. और क्या कंडीशन? If the upper lens and the lower lens have same focal length, the image will be at the same place. You got stuck. Clear?
Sir,
Hi.
can you repeat what is the meaning of that star all rays above principal axis?
Meaning, if any light ray above the principal axis goes like this, they will stay above only. They will not go below the principal axis, meaning they will not cross like this. Right?
Yes, sir.
This is what I was saying. So any light ray that goes below this will stay below only until they cross the principal axis on the outside, meaning they won't cross them, within the lens, you won't find anything like this. Once they come outside, they can cross, no? We are talking before coming out. On the focal length for all will be that we. Nah, Swastika, when you take images, kya karna hai? You treat this as 2 lenses, na? This light ray is passing through this equivalent lens, isn't it? You tell me. Indirectly, what you did was you kept a lens and you kept a lens. How many images will you get? 1, right? Just because there are 2 lenses, will you get 2 images? Now what I did, I just kept them off like this, now. Two lenses. So what you need to see is what you're saying is, see, like this, the image formed for this part will be the object for this part. So finally, what comes out will be only one image. Got the catch? And in the fourth case, देखो क्या किया मैंने. Fourth case I kept different heights. इसमें क्या हो गया? Some light rays went through both of them, some light rays went only through the top of them. That's why you got two different images. Got it? For this light ray, the equivalent will be 1 by f1 plus 1 by f2. Sure? Anyone not clear with this? Please ask.
Sir, I got disconnected. Can you tell when
Yeah.
will it coincide?
If the upper lens and the lower lens have same focal length, upper ka thing and the lower will have same focal length and they'll meet. No? This will become then it doesn't matter now what is the medium if the focal length is same. All clear with this? Ronak? Artika, clear? Great. Next thing, prisms. So what's a prism? So a prism is made of transparent material with at least two flat surfaces. So if you have something like this, now we define something called angle of prism. This is important. If a light ray hits like this and comes out, this is the angle of prism. But if a light ray enters like this, hits here and comes out of this way, this is the angle of prism. So be careful. Har bar, the top one is not the angle of prism. The angle of prism is defined as the angle between the two surfaces where the light ray enters and emerges. If I take a few more examples, imagine if I take something of a hexagon. Let's say light ray enters like this, hits here and comes out like this. So extend this, and this will be your angle of prism. That's how you choose. Again, remember, should have only two refractions. Huh? If you have more than two, to gone. You can't use any lens ka thing. I can even create any weird shape also, it still works. There. That's how we define as angle of prism. Derivation is not that important, but you should know because formulas, right? Sometimes you forgot you can derive them. Derivation is there in 11th HSC, but anyway, 11th standard portion is not there for HSC. And I'm sure you've done this in school also. Prism ka the delta formula and everything. Now, so we have a prism here. Normally we take a isosceles thing. This is a let's say light ray enters, and leaves. These are the normals. This is your angle of incidence. This is R1. This is R2. E is the angle of emergence. Now from here you can clearly see if this is R1, this would be 90 minus R1 because it's a normal, the total 90. This is 90 minus R2. And in that upper triangle, you can see the total sum of the angles A plus 90 minus R1 plus 90 minus R2 should be equal to 180. So we get A is equal to R1 plus R2. This is your first formula. I is the angle of incidence, E is the angle of emergence. Have a look at this.
So what if total internal reflection takes place and it just
Then
comes
don't
back?
use these formulas.
Okay.
And don't use these formulas. As simple as that.
Okay.
This whole experiment is based on the fact that you enter and leave. Suppose ऐसा जाके ऐसा आ गया, मतलब गया. All these things are just useless. Just use Snell's law and solve.
Okay.
Now, it was under the assumption you enter and leave from the other side. There are no TIRs, multiple refractions and all. Okay. Next thing. Again, same thing. This is a. But general this formula-based questions will come only in mains or bits level. Advanced questions will be a little different. Like you don't need to know these formulas. We will see those things also. But this only mainly the prisms and all stuff is for bits and mains only. Advanced they don't expect like these formulas are little theoretical. So this is I. This is E. So if you extend this light ray, it should have gone like this. If you extend this light ray, it should have gone like this. So this would be your deviation. So this full angle, if this is R1, this will be I minus R1. If this is R2, this is E minus R2. And from here you can see the sum of the two angles is that exterior angle there, I minus R1 plus E minus R2 will be equal to delta. So delta will be I plus E minus R1 plus R2. And I know R1 plus R2 is A. This is your second formula. And we also know from Snell's law, sin I is equal to mu sin R1. And mu sin R2 is equal to sin E. Now for this thing, when they plot the graph of the deviation delta versus the angle of incidence, the graph comes something like this. So at this point here, we get the minimum deviation. In IIT first year, physics lab, this experiment is there. You have to find mu from here. And you'll observe, you get same deviation for two angles. If this is I, this is E, because I and E are interchangeable. So with the minimum deviation, I is equal to E. So basically, if I and E are interchanged, we get the same deviation. When I is equal to E, when the angle of incidence is equal to angle of emergence, delta is minimum. And if you see the graph stops on the left-hand side because at this point, it's a TIR. So at that point, we don't study anymore. The graph stops there. Have a look at this. Clear? This is not a parabola. This is not a parabola. Quadratic bhi nahi hai. It's pretty weird, right? Because see na, when the moment you start putting this I and E ka values here, you'll get sine inverse functions on this side. Things get very messy. This much we know, deviation will decrease and increase. Previous page here. Have a look at this. Don't worry about this. You'll get the notes anyway. Next thing. Now for minimum deviation or at delta minimum, I is equal to A. Therefore, R1 is equal to R2, which will be equal to A by 2. So this will become delta minimum is I plus E minus A. This becomes 2I minus A. And Snell's law, sine I is equal to mu sine R1. This becomes sine I is equal to mu sine A by 2. I will be A plus delta minimum by 2. So this will be sine A plus delta minimum by 2 is equal to mu sine A by 2. So this is actually an experiment to find the refractive index of the prism. Mu of the prism will be sine A plus delta m by 2 by sine A by 2. If there's a medium outside, then it is mu medium also will be there. This is a very important formula. Now here, be careful. Sometimes in the question they'll ask you like this: whenever I is equal to E, the delta minimum occurs, the light ray becomes parallel. That is not true. That happens only for a certain case. So here, if suppose this angle and this angle both are theta, and if you send a light ray, it will become parallel and it comes out. So this is I, this is E, which is equal to I. So for delta minimum, I is equal to E, the light ray becomes parallel inside. The light ray becomes parallel to the base. This is not always true. Getting it? This is valid only if the base angles are same. So they can frame question like this and people write, just remember this because book mein aisa hi hai. Same angles, getting it? But if you create a situation like this where the thing is a scalene triangle, theta 1 and theta 2, then you're gone. There's no guarantee you'll get a minimum here. You get a parallel light ray. If angles are not equal, light ray will not be parallel. I is equal to V is valid, but light ray won't be parallel. So you know how they'll frame a question? They will say a right-angled isosceles prism is given. Listen to this question again. A right-angled isosceles prism is given. When there is a minimum deviation, the light ray is parallel to the base. True or false? A right-angled isosceles prism is given. When the minimum deviation occurs, the light ray becomes parallel to the base. What do you guys think? False. Why? It's a right-angled isosceles triangle. Angles are equal. Problem ये है, you didn't tell me the orientation. Most people will assume this way, 45, 45. What I'm saying, this is also possible, no? In this case, the light ray will be parallel. In this case, it won't be parallel. Are you getting the catch? You simply said right angle isosceles triangle, people assume this diagram. Make sense? So be careful. That way, light ray will not be parallel just because there's a minimum deviation. You have to satisfy this condition that both the angles are equal. Do have a look at this page. So I'll just write this example. I'll turn the page. So if you take a right-angled isosceles prism for delta minimum, there are two possibilities. So in this case, A is 45. In this case, A is 90. Be careful. Have a look at this. That would be a simple, straightforward question. Because the moment you see the word delta minimum, people think light ray is parallel. If you're preparing for medical, you should do that. इतना सोचना नहीं है. Medical, CET, just mark it parallel and come. If you think this much, you'll get a wrong answer. Advance के लिए सोचना पड़ता है. Because you can always argue and they'll give you marks. Check this out. Yeah. Next one. Condition for no emergence. Meaning someone was saying, TIR, what happens if the letter doesn't come out? There is a possibility. Meaning the light ray won't come out of the right side. So basically there is a TIR. And main thing, this is also the maximum deviation. Remember, we studied minimum deviation. There's also a maximum deviation case. When does this occur? This occurs when E becomes 90. Basically, the light ray grazes the surface. So the light ray enters, hits, and becomes like this. Matlab this angle, R2 is theta critical. This is R1 and this is I. Sin theta critical is 1 by mu. We know R1 plus R2 is equal to A. So we get R1 will be A minus theta critical. And from here you can find I ka value. Sin I will be mu sin R1. Sin A will be mu sin A minus theta critical. So I max will be sin inverse mu sin A minus theta critical. If you exceed this angle, right, later won't come out. Max I for which the ray comes out. If angle of incidence I is greater than I max, there'll be TIR. And we don't study that. The moment TIR happens, forget about prisms and everything, it's gone. So here, this will give you the maximum deviation. And how much is that? So delta max would be I plus E is 90 minus A. This is the maximum deviation. I max plus 90 minus A. E is 90 here. So minimum deviation is a case. There's a maximum deviation also a case. Check it out. All these are like, told you now, theoretical questions kind of things. Exams where they do ask. Mehan, keep your cam on. Clear? Next thing. This next one, right, was asked in an exam. I think CET या bits में कहीं पे पूछा था, direct question. You should know the result. Maximum angle of the prism. Meaning first time you hear, you feel like what the hell. But that is the result. Max angle of the prism. The meaning of this thing is you have a very rare occurrence where the no emergence, meaning maximum deviation, and minimum deviation occur at the same time. That means there's only one angle for which the light ray can enter. Any other angle, there will be always TIR. Occur at same angle of incidence. Again, we are always choosing an isosceles triangle for symmetry. This is called max angle of a prism, meaning you are sending a light ray like this. It becomes parallel, basically minimum deviation, and comes out like this. So here I is 90. E is also 90. So this angle is theta critical. This angle is also theta critical. So here basically 2 times theta critical is A. Theta critical is A by 2. Let me write the other way. So A is equal to 2 times sine inverse 1 by mu. This is the result. Maximum angle of a prism. I never really understood the logic behind this, but there is a statement like that, max angle of the prism. When you send it with 90, come out with 90. So this, and at this point, maximum emergence, maximum minimum deviation, both occur at the same time. This happens for a special value of I and A and also. Won't the direction of the ray be opposite? Yes. Hmm. more of a theoretical statement here, so do keep remember. So that is a bit of a theory there. So let's see some questions on this. Did you guys do dispersion? Dispersive power. Ray optics ho gaya kya? Someone?
Oh, sir.
No, it's still going on. I think we are little ahead in ray optics and central must karna hai. We'll catch up. This time they're doing fast ray. Let's see. At least with some batches. I think last year it was seniors के लिए बहुत bad experience था. Clear? Let's see some questions. Questions will be pretty straightforward, some formula-based questions. Let me show you some examples. Just have a look at these examples. Look at the first one. A ray of light passes through an equilateral prism. So indirectly A60 दे दिया था. Such that the angle of incidence is equal to angle of emergence. So दे दिया I is equal to E. And the later is equal to 3/4 of the angle of the prism. He's saying this is equal to 3a/4. You just have to get the data from here. Calculate the angle of deviation and refract onto the prism is 1.5. You know everything. So basically, what is delta? I plus E minus A. I is 3a/4. E is 3a/4. Minus A, तो A/2. A कितना था? 60. So 30. और क्या चाहिए? Calculate the, बस वही करना था. हो गया question. He was useless. Got it? Next example, have a look at that. Prism index placed in water. So mu prism by mu water sine A plus delta minimum by 2 by sine A/2. You know everything. This is mu prism. This is mu water. Angle of prism is 60. आ गया ना, यहाँ से delta m आ जाएगा. सब डाल दो उसमें. This is the level of questions in mains and bits. Direct formula based. Let's see something little decent. Any doubts on these formulas, please ask. Easy? This is something good. I mark the answers, but try. They'll give you delta versus I graph and they'll ask you the options. All four are right, but let's see. This would be a good question even at mains level. How do we get sine inverse 0.57? 0.57 is close to 0.6, right? That is 3/5, na? So close to 37, isn't it? बस इतना ही approximately guess मारना था. Anyway, options होगा ना? They'll give you like 33, 35, 37, तो manage हो जाएगा. Get this one. Assume that you didn't see these options are marked. Now solve. Get this, it's a good one. Delta versus I graph is given and this is the info. Just give it a try. I'll be back in a minute. Let's see how we got this. पहले delta minimum दे दिया 60. See, at this point here, I is equal to E, and this is delta minimum. So this formula we have to use. Delta is I plus E minus. This is always valid. So for delta minimum, when we use, so delta minimum will be I plus I minus A. Delta minimum is 60. This guy is 120. So A is 60. First option था वो. Okay. Then refract index of the material. Mu of this thing will be sine A plus delta by 2 by sine A by 2. That is sine 60 by sine 30 root 3. वो भी आ जाएगा. Angle of incidence is 41. That is I1 का value he is asking. That also again, remember for the same angles of incidence, you get a same deviation. So delta I plus E minus A. So this guy was 63. I is I only. E is 2I and A is 60. कितना था? 60, 123. 60 plus 63, 123, 41. That is also right. D का क्या करना है? D अच्छा question है. ABC most people get it. In the above prism for the angle of incidence of 70, the deviation of the ray will be less than 65. How will you prove that point? I shouldn't have marked it, no? I should remove that markings in the photo next time. Heel chala gaya. How do we prove that? The above prism, did you observe here? 2I1 is 42, na? 2I1 is 82 degrees, meaning for 82 degrees incidence, we get 63 degrees. Okay. Yeah. Now here, for 70, since I is equal to 70 degrees, delta has to be less than 63 degrees. But you said 65, so it is true, na? Got the logic? Basically, just have to use the information to prove. Agar 82 incidence ke liye 63 aaya, if you decrease the incidence, definitely, means if you're getting down here, it should be somewhere here. So it should be definitely less than 63, but you're saying 65, so you're wrong anyway. So Yeah, he's saying that only. It will be less, so it is true. Is that fine? Make sense? So you can just figure out that from the data. This would be a mains level or advanced level ka multiple choice question, but if you still ask me, it is something to moderate, easy to moderate. Next one. This would be integer question. Abhi in this, can you see there's a TIR? Means length ka formula is gone. So all this that we did was nonsense actually. You can solve this problem just using Snell's law. Prism ka is just for namesake. Get this? The moment you see a TIR or a scenario like this, where this light ray is hitting and bouncing, forget about all the formulas we derived. Just use a regular reflection Snell's law and solve the problem. So just because the word prism is there, doesn't mean you have to use prism ka formulas every time. Those formulas are derived under a certain condition that the light ray emerges from the other side. Let's get this. It's a good one. So PR pe angle is slightly greater than critical matlab, you can assume it is critical angle only. First thing, draw a good diagram. Hmm. This is the first equation. Sin theta critical is 1 by mu. This is the second. This is the just data point there. Or वहीं पे Snell's law if I use mu sin I is equal to sin alpha. Alpha is 30 and I 60 minus theta critical. Sin alpha is sin 30. Sin 60 minus theta critical is 1 by 2 mu. अभी क्या करना है? Try. I'll give you a minute more from here. I just took the data and just placed it. अभी क्या करना है? I know sin theta critical. I am sin 60 minus theta critical बात है. What will you do? Expand brute force. This is where people get lazy actually. Sin theta 60 minus theta critical is equal to 1 by 2 mu. Expand this. Sin A minus B. Sin 60 cos theta critical minus sin theta critical cos 60 is 1 by 2 mu. Sin 60 is root 3 by 2. Cos theta critical is root over 1 minus sin theta. So cos theta critical is root over 1 minus sin square theta. So root over mu square minus 1 by mu. So root over mu square 1 by mu. Sin theta critical is 1 by mu. Cos theta is half is 1 by 2 mu. Luckily mu cancels in the denominator. 2 also cancels. Root 3 mu square minus 1 is equal to minus 1 is equal to 1. Mu square minus 1 is 4 by 3. Mu is equal to root 7 by 3. Therefore, x is equal to 7. That's an integer question. Check. You just start to expand sin theta minus critical. There's no way out. So, question was lengthy. This is a question which has a moderate difficulty but lengthy. Advanced math are questions. People get irritated solving and they get frustrated and they leave it. But if you actually think about it, it's an easy question. I'll show you how a tough one looks. So never, whenever you're getting a calculation, never get irritated. When you see a question, you see a lot of calculation, you should always tell yourself, patience, let me solve. The moment you get irritated, like, itna calculations kya diya? Meaning, once that comes into the mind, instead of solving, you'll keep cursing the paper setter. That is of no use. And advanced papers recently, right, at least last 2-3 years, they have become like quite lengthy. Physics is taking solid 1 hour. Matlab, you can, meaning all your seniors say the same thing, Sir, I know everything in physics, but time nahi tha. Matlab, literally 1 hour, you are just solving non-stop at full speed. And max is taking 1 hour, 15 minutes. So chemistry is your savior actually. Chemistry, itna achhe se ratta marna hai, you have to finish the paper in 45 minutes. So generally, chemistry is your base subject. Anyone, if you ask anyone, right, normally when we train anyone, we say first thing your chemistry should be your base. Everyone does chemistry. Reason, inorganic, organic, it is just mugging up, right? Either you know or you don't know. उसमें कुछ है ही नहीं लॉजिक. चलो कुछ थोड़ा ये लॉजिक है, बट केमिस्ट्री का प्रॉब्लम ये है, एवरी 3 क्वेश्चंस में देयर इज वन एक्सेप्शन. अभी कितना लॉजिक लगाएंगे ना. प्रॉब्लम वो है, एवरी ब्लडी 3 थिंग्स में देयर इज एन एक्सेप्शन. सो एंड ऑफ द डे यू आर मगिंग अप ओनली. यू आर मगिंग अप ऑल द एक्सेप्शंस. So there is no logic, nothing there. So this is a story from long back. Today I was discussing with one of your senior. वो बोल रहा था, sir, organic ऐसा कुछ problem हो रहा है. Then I told him, my time when I had a problem with organic, I read a book called so and so करके, gave them some name. He said, sir, मैंने same book yesterday खरीदा था. I said, अच्छा है. I said, then read the first 75 pages, that would help. There's a book called Essence Annual Reactions and Rearrangements करके. It has the first 70-80 pages, has a good theory on organic actually mechanisms and all, explain something. Something like that. I didn't expect, like, when did I prepare? Like 2005. It's been 18 years. And people say that is still a good book. So good books are good books, no matter how many years. So chemistry is your base subject. Then physics is the second base subject. Reason, if you top 5,000, if you ask anyone, what is your favorite subject? At least 90% people will say physics is my favorite subject. So even if physics paper comes tough, people will still solve. Because unka pet subject hai. For maximum people, it's their pet subject. Meaning they feel like, yeah, there is not too many things to remember, but there's a lot to think. So without chemistry and physics, you won't even enter the first 3,000 ranks. Then if your max is thoda average, you will enter till 1,000. You have to cross 500, the max should be pretty good. So what decides your rank below 1,000 is max. But to enter till 2,000, 3,000, chemistry and physics. Now, right now, for some of you seniors who are struggling, right, jiska scores nahi aa rahe, I'm telling the same thing. Physics and chemistry, right, if they do properly, mains ka PYQs and everything, physics mein aaram se they can score 80, chemistry mein they can score 70, 75. Max, I'm telling them, yaar, itna tough lag raha hai, 20 score karo, काफी hai. Score कितना आएगा? 170, 99 percentile. That is for people who are just preparing for mains and all. So keep in mind, 3 subjects are important. Next one. This was actually an advanced question. 20, I don't remember the year. What हो गया वो? It is that exact thing there. You know the meaning of monochromatic? Single wavelength. Equilateral prism refractive index n emerges from the opposite face, making an angle theta of n. Here n is refractive index. So it's an angle as function of refractive index. That is the meaning of it. Meaning if you change mu, theta also changes. For n is equal to √3, the value of theta cut हो गया, is 60 degrees, and d theta by dn is the value of ms. वो wording से देखो कुछ weird है. Take a minute or two. Just first try to understand the question. Take a minute or two. First understand what the hell is asking. Then explain the question. Then let's try. Integer. We're still talking about prisms only. Yeah? Understood the question? I'll explain the question. See, what he's asking now. Here n is the refractive index. So theta of n, meaning this is the refractive index n. Okay, mu is given. For different values of theta, for different values of n, we get different thetas. That means आपको ना, so we have to find theta in terms of n, and then उसको differentiate करना है. Getting it? And he's saying for n is equal to √3, the theta is 60 degrees. The value of m will be. So first, your job is to find the theta in terms of mu. How do we do? So basically we need to find d theta by d. I'll write it as mu, okay, everywhere, so that thoda ye weird ho raha hai. So here n is mu. So d theta by mu when mu is equal to √3, you have to figure out the value there. Think for a minute how to do, then I'll show you. Basically indirectly question यही पूछा था, find d theta by dn when n is √3. The language itself was weird little. It was weird, but technically it is right. Let's see. Let's start with a diagram. Always a diagram. I'll tell you physics mein, right? 90% of the time, if you can actually put a small diagram, things will start getting cleared. Not because, diagram kuch answer de dega. You know what is the biggest problem? We get stuck. You just keep staring at the question. That is a bad thing. What you need is some kind of momentum. Once you start drawing, seeing, right, your brain will start processing things. So that is a reason. You don't understand what to do the question, just draw some diagram and just keep staring at it. You will start seeing things. It's an integer question. It's supposed to be an integer. So, and the answer is not 1. Let's see. Angle of prism is A, which is 60. Refractor index, I'll call it mu. It is given n everywhere, but we'll write it in terms of mu. So this guy enters like this and comes out. Now there's a data given here. The data says when mu is equal to √3, theta is 60. Here it is given. So this angle is 60 anyways. And this was theta. So first thing, sine 60, this is r, is equal to mu sine r1. And we know r1 plus r2 is 60. So r2 will be 60 minus r1. And we also know mu into sine r2 is sine theta. So from here, basically, my job is to find theta in terms of mu, na? So that is mu sine r2 is 60 minus r1. This result is important. So there, we are getting close to it. I got theta in terms of mu, but yeah, r1 is stuck. So we need to eliminate that. And we also know here sine r1 is sine 60 by mu. So if I differentiate this with respect to mu, This guy will be cos R1. You will see why we need to differentiate, because anyway, if you remember, we need to differentiate d theta by d mu. So this dr1 by mu will come somewhere. So we'll eliminate before only. Minus 1 by mu square sin 60 theta will be constant only. So यहाँ से dr1 by d mu, I kept it ready just in case. Minus sin 60 by mu square cos R1. Now in this scenario, for mu is equal to root 3, we have some data. For mu is equal to root 3 sin 60. So root 3 sin R1. R1 is 30 degrees. So this is also important. Now, anyway, when you differentiate, you're going to put the value here. For mu is equal to root 3. R is equal to 30 degree. So for this conditions, dr1 by d mu will be minus root 3 by 2. Mu square is 3 and cos 30 is root 3 by 2. Root 3 will cancel, minus 1 by 3. So keep this aside. We're going to use this value later on. Have a look at this page. So why am I doing this? Because when I differentiate d theta, this thing with mu, d theta by d mu आ जाएगा यहाँ से. Okay. Problem, ये R1 will get stuck here. When I differentiate, I'll get dr1 by d mu. So for that, I kept it ready already. So now we are going to differentiate the first function here. Check it out. Have a look at this stuff. Clear with this part here, everyone? No. Next page. From equation 1, sine theta is mu sine 60 minus R1. So question may you asked me to find d theta by d mu. So differentiate with mu. So this guy will be cos theta, d theta by d mu. There, that is what I wanted, d theta by d mu. Differentiate d by d mu sine 60 minus R, product rule. This would be sine 60 minus R1 d by d mu. That guy is 1 anyway. So d theta by d mu will be 1 by cos theta mu. This will be cos 60 minus R1. Then you get minus dr1 by d mu plus sine 60 minus R1. Now, you wanted to find when per mu is equal to root 3, R1 is equal to 30, d theta by d mu, and remember theta is theta nahi. Theta kitna tha? Oh, theta would be how much? That also we have to calculate. Sine theta would be root 3. Sine 60 minus R1. That will be sine 30. Theta was actually 60 for this value. Cos 60 mu is root 3 cos 30. And remember dr1 by dt is minus 1 by 3. That is 1 by 3 plus sine 30. Cos 30 is 2. That is root 3 by 2. So that is half plus half. That is 2. D theta by d mu is, that's your answer. This is a classic question, which is tough also, lengthy also. This is a pretty lengthy question. This is the type of question you should do in the last. मतलब सब हो गया, कुछ भी नहीं मिल रहे तो you do this thing. The main idea comes from here, that once you write this, when I differentiate, I'll get d theta by d mu from here. And then when you differentiate, you actually get stuck with dr1 by d mu. That will give you an idea. Let me differentiate this one. Have a look at this. So I kept the things ready, but the question, right? If you had started in the exam, I would write this. Then I will differentiate this. I'll say, chalo, I know this, I know this, I know this. When I see this, then I'll get an idea. Oh, R1 bhi R hai. For this guy, I will go back and I will try to differentiate the second equation because R1 is R2 is in terms of theta. Idea might click, but this will take time. At least I say 5 to 6 minutes of minimum jayega. Even if I do also, I'll take at least 3 to 4 minutes. First of all, understanding the question was weird. You guys will take at least 5 to 6 minutes minimum jayega. But that is fine, right? You have 20 questions, 18, 17 questions hote for exam. If the other questions are more weird, then what will you do? Have a look at this. That is our advanced question actually previously. So with that, we're done with the prisms. Now prisms, there is one part called dispersion that is only there for mains ka thing. Let's see if PSP will teach you that. I'll teach you in the end. It is just some theoretical things. That is another 4 or 5 formulas. But or else we will do that, and once the portion gets over, we'll do that. There are some only for mains ka topics are there. But with this, we are done with this thing. So you'll be able to handle full reoptics to finish it off. From next week onwards, we'll chromatic aberration. Yeah. They taught you, Aryan, chromatic aberration? They did? No, no. That
Yes,
only
sir.
chromatic aberration. They taught?
Sir,
Yes,
they said
they
they are going
taught.
to teach chromatic aberration.
Sir,
Oh,
they taught
ठीक
us chromatic aberration.
चलो ठीक है, बाद में देख लेते हैं then. We'll do in the last then, with this formula basis only. Clear with this? ठीक है. So with that, we'll wrap up for the day. So we're done with the reoptics part. The chromatic aberration we can see later on if they teach you, we will do, or else we will leave it for the portion get over. Because that is again just formulas only. Clear. So we have done almost 51 problems. So make sure to first go through the entire notes. I'll send you a sheet also by tomorrow on entire reoptics. But first finish off your booklet or something and then start doing it. From next week onwards, Wednesday, Friday, both the days we'll start from 5:30. We'll have a class from 5:30 to like 7, 6:50 or something, and get a 10-minute break, and then 7 to 8. So we'll have a 2.5 hour class. That is one. Okay, let's see how things will go. And tomorrow I'll post the results of this thing, and reoptics test also will be online tomorrow night. Okay. So any doubts, anything you can stay back and ask, or else you're free to do. I'll see you guys again next Wednesday. We'll continue from there.